So one of the more interesting free agents is Elena Delle Donne, who is still a really good WNBA player. She's still going to be really, really good. And look, I think that any team should want... If Elena Delle Donne's willing to play basketball, any team in the WNBA is going to be trying to get her. Like last season, like she's averaging 20 points a game for her career. And last season, she played 23 of 40 games, which isn't a lot, to be fair. And she averaged 16 points. And she averaged 16.7 points in the last season she played. And she is healthy enough to play basketball. So a lot of people are like, oh, Elena Delle Donne's retired for health reasons. Like, look, she has had issues with health. She hasn't been the most healthy player. But if you guys don't know why she didn't play last season, she basically, the Mystics court her. And by the way, the funniest thing is the Mystics owner talking about how everyone deserves to be on the Time magazine cover. Well, to be honest, maybe the player that you held hostage last year should have been. But the Washington Mystics courted Elena Delle Donne. Elena Delle Donne refused to play for the Mystics. Like, she was a free agent. They wouldn't let her leave. And she just said, yeah, I'm not playing for you guys. And you know why people are talking about like Satu and everything and like, oh, you know, with these court players, you kind of have to send them. This is a time where they didn't. And the Aces didn't have, like the Aces and the Mercury were trying to trade and the Mystics didn't like any offers. So they literally just said, okay, cool. And for people being like, oh, you know, Elena Delle Donne's under contract, she should have played. She didn't get paid the money. She forfeited the money just to not play with the Mystics. She wanted to go to she wanted to go to, say, a Phoenix. She wanted to go to an LA. Sorry, Vegas, not LA. She wanted to go to Vegas. She wanted to get out of Washington. But the Washington Mystics said no. They straight up said no. And obviously with the Mystics refusing to trade her, there's nothing that she can do. She's kind of stuck. And this season, it's going to be interesting because the Washington Mystics might core her again. The rumor is that the Mystics protected her in the expansion draft so that the Valkyries couldn't take her. But the Mystics might core her again. And if nobody gets, you know, if they don't get the trade package they want, basically force her to sit out another year. Because she has already said she won't play for the Mystics. She is not under contract with the Mystics. And that's the worst part about this is like, she is not officially under contract with the Mystics. The Mystics are not currently paying Elena Delle Donne. She played out her contract. But they literally franchise tag the player who is like, I just want to leave in free agency. And if she doesn't play, she doesn't get paid, but she can't play for anywhere else. So it's gonna be an interesting one because I still think she could be a really, really good bench / fourth or fifth best starter in the league. Like, she's lights out. She's 6'5". She was a 6'5" wing who is absolutely lights out, who's the only 50, 40, 90 shooter ever in WNBA history. And right now, with the way the game's going, she can play small. She can play that stretch 4 role. She can play pretty much any role, to be honest. She's that level of player. Heck, she was a freaking... What? Is she a 3-time MVP? No, she's only a 2-time MVP. But she's one of the greatest players of all time. So, and she's not that old. Like, she'll be 35 next season. It's like it's like younger than DeWanna Bonner. It's younger than Taurasi. And I reckon I think she's going to give it a go for one more year. I genuinely do think she's going to give it a go for one more year. So, what teams do I think there's a chance of her going to? I think she's realistically going to be in... I think she's going to go for a win now team. A lot of people are saying, oh, she could go to Dallas to mentor Paige. No. Looking at Reddit, I know we've had this conversation. Will never be... what is it? Don't think Miss will core. If they do core, it means they're willing to give her a Supermax. They were willing to give her a Supermax last year. I mean, they're confident she's healed and back in shape. They're going to core her so that she can't go anywhere else. That's literally it. She'll come back as an unrestricted free agent. If Washington cores that are obligated to pay her Supermax, she has to approve trades. Needs to be certain she's worth the salary. She won't play. She didn't play this year for health. No, it wasn't for health reasons. She just didn't want to play. I think she was healthy to play last season. She didn't want to play for the Mystics. She requested a trade, and at some point that she wanted to play for Vegas or Phoenix. Vegas wasn't ready to trade any of their key pieces. Phoenix lowballed the Mystics with crappy offers trying to call their bluff. The Mystics didn't budge and let her sit the season. And she will be basically held hostage for another season potentially. And it's mad though. It's mad everyone talking about how the Fever is the worst thing. And one of the greatest players of all time didn't play last year because the Washington Mystics just didn't want her to leave in free agency. They literally they made sure that she wouldn't play for them, and she made sure that she wouldn't play for anyone else. And not even while under contract. It's not like they were paying her. If they were paying her, it's one thing. If they were paying her and she refused to play, that's on Elena Delle Donne. They weren't even paying her, but they just basically held one of the greatest players of all time out for the season. But I think the likelihood of the situation is that I think she could go to Phoenix. I think Phoenix are just trying to bring back... They're just trying to win with over 30 old players. Like, that's Matt Ishbia for you. You're seeing it in the NBA with Jimmy Butler. They are just trying to... He's trying to get all the legends and all the vets together. I could see Elena Delle Donne going to Phoenix. I could also see DeWanna Bonner and Alyssa Thomas ended up in Phoenix. Like, imagine going out with a team of Tash Cloud, Diana Taurasi, DeWanna Bonner, Alyssa Thomas, and Brittany Griner. And then off the bench, you've got Elena Delle Donne, Celeste Taylor, Sophie Cunningham. I just forgot Kat Copper. Taurasi's probably off the bench. Kat Copper starting. Like, that is a team that could legitimately compete, if healthy, that is, for a WNBA championship. I don't know about the Aces. I think the Aces should be a really good player for the Aces because I do think her in at the 4, even though Kia Stokes is a good defender, I think her in at the 4, it allows AJ to play her actual position instead of AJ playing at the 4. And it gives AJ a bit more spacing to work with as kind of a stretch 5 type role. So I think that could be really interesting. Obviously, if you're in win now, you want to go to the Liberty. I think for the Fever, I don't know if she's exactly what they need at the 4, but if she could probably play at the 4 at the Fever if Kelsey Mitchell leaves and they replace, and in the trade for Kelsey Mitchell, you get an Ariel Atkins type player. Like, if the Fever come out next season, hypothetically, with a 1-2-3 of Clark, Atkins, and Hull, that's where you can definitely play in Elena Delle Donne at the 4, because you've got, like, hustle defenders, length-ish at the 2-3, so she can play as a stretch 4. But I would say more than likely, probably Phoenix or the Aces is more than likely the situation where she will end up going. I can't see her going and playing for the Fever, but you just never know. I think it's a really interesting one if Elena Delle Donne does come back. I think it is a really, really interesting one because if she does, I don't see her not being a top 25, 30 player in the league. And I think she's just going to, if she sat out for 0 last year, I think she's going to be a vet and not take that much money this year. And I think she might want to give it one last go, like retire on her own terms and not retire on being held hostage by a team who, their owner is complaining about, other teams and other fans and other players. But yeah, that is pretty much it. That is the video. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.